Welcome to another episode of Crime Insight. Today's episode takes us to Fort Collins, Colorado, in May of 2019. This is the story of a beloved teacher's tragic end and how her husband's jealous obsession turned deadly. Dr. Vivien Severn was a 42-year-old English professor at a local college in Fort Collins. Known for her charismatic and engaging teaching style, Vivien was a passionate expert in British interwar literature. Her enthusiasm for the subject was matched only by her commitment to her students. She frequently invited them to her home for extended study sessions, reflecting her dedication to their academic success. Vivien's warm personality and infectious laugh made her a beloved figure among students and colleagues alike. Vivien was married to Robert Severn, a 45-year-old businessman who owned a chain of laundromats called Clean Spin. The laundromats were popular among local students, adding a touch of familiarity to Robert's otherwise reserved and private demeanor. Despite their 15-year marriage, which had many happy moments, their relationship had recently become strained. Rumors of Vivien's infidelities had surfaced, creating a backdrop of tension and mistrust. In addition to her role as a professor, Vivien was an avid hiker and an active member of the Fort Collins Book Club. Her life was filled with vibrant activities and a wide circle of friends. She was also working on a significant project, a 700-page book titled From Brightest Head to Lehman, Interwar Literature's Role in Historical Erotic Fiction. Her dedication to this project was a testament to her love for teaching and research. In the days leading up to her death, Vivien was busy grading final papers and preparing for the summer semester, all while finishing her book. She was planning a hiking trip with friends to celebrate the end of the school year. Her colleagues noticed her excitement and energy as she looked forward to the break. Vivien's recent posts on Facebook and Instagram about a new book and a hiking trip reflected her joyful anticipation. However, beneath the surface of her seemingly perfect life were tensions and secrets that would lead to a tragic end. Her story serves as a stark reminder of how jealousy and obsession can shatter even the most seemingly perfect lives. On the morning of May 15, 2019, the sun rose over Fort Collins, casting a warm glow on the college campus. At around 7:30 a.m., Hank Murphy, a janitor at the college, began his routine cleaning rounds. Hank was a familiar and friendly face on campus, known for his dedication to maintaining the building's cleanliness. As he entered the English department, he noticed that Dr. Vivien Severn's office door was slightly ajar, a rare occurrence, as Vivien was meticulous about locking her door. Curious and concerned, Hank knocked gently but received no response. He pushed the door open and was met with a sight that would haunt him forever. Vivien was slumped over her desk, her body motionless, with 2 visible gunshot wounds. Blood had pooled around her papers and books, some stained with the blood. The room was eerily silent. Hank's heart raced as he took in the scene. He stumbled backward, nearly dropping his cleaning supplies. After a moment of shock, he regained his composure and rushed to the nearest phone to call campus security. His hands trembled as he dialed, his voice shaking as he reported the grim discovery. The campus security officer on duty immediately dispatched a team to Dr. Severn's office and called the local police. Within minutes, the wail of sirens approached the campus. When the police arrived, they found Hank sitting on a bench outside the building, his face pale and his eyes wide with shock. The lead investigator approached him, noting his distress. Hank recounted his discovery, his voice still shaking, and described finding Vivien slumped over her desk and how he had immediately called for help. The news of Dr. Severn's death spread quickly across the campus. Students and faculty were in shock, unable to comprehend the tragedy that had befallen their beloved professor. Local news stations picked up the story, briefly noting her death on the nightly newscast. The discovery of Vivien's body marked the beginning of a complex investigation that would uncover dark secrets and lead to an unexpected conclusion. Detective Sarah Lynn Bryant, known for her keen eye and calm demeanor, led the investigation. The scene at Dr. Vivien Severn's office was shocking. There were blood stains on her desk and papers scattered everywhere, creating a chaotic mix of a crime scene and a busy professor's office. The first task for the police was to secure the area, ensuring that no one could enter or leave. They carefully photographed everything before touching anything. Detective Bryant and her team began their search for clues. They found 2 bullet casings from a small-caliber handgun near Vivien's desk. The trajectory of the shots suggested that the killer was standing close to Vivien when she was shot. Investigators also collected items that might be useful for evidence, including Vivien's computer, her cell phone, and several personal items from her desk. Forensic experts were called in to examine the blood stains and other physical evidence. Samples were taken for analysis at the lab, and the police dusted for fingerprints, looking for any that didn't belong to Vivien or the janitor who found her. As the investigation continued inside, other officers began interviewing people outside the building. They spoke with students, faculty, and staff to piece together Vivien's last moments. Many people were shocked and confused, unable to believe that such a respected professor could be the victim of such a violent crime. Detective Bryant also reviewed security camera footage from around the campus, hoping to spot anyone suspicious entering or leaving the building around the time of the murder. The footage showed some people entering and exiting, but nothing immediately suspicious. The police knew they had a tough case ahead. Vivien was well-liked, but the rumors about her personal life meant there could be many potential suspects. Detective Bryant and her team prepared to dig deeper into Vivien's life, her relationships, and her secrets. They hoped that by understanding more about her, they could find the person responsible for her death. As the sun set over Fort Collins, the police wrapped up their initial investigation at the crime scene. They had gathered a lot of information, but many questions remained. The investigation was just beginning, and Detective Bryant knew they had a long road ahead to find justice for Dr. Vivien Severn. The investigation quickly turned to Vivien Severn's husband, Robert Severn, as the primary suspect. Robert, 45, was a successful businessman who owned the Clean Spin laundromats. Despite his professional success, Robert was known to be reserved and had exhibited increasing jealousy and obsession over rumors of Vivien's infidelities. This made him an immediate person of interest. On the evening of May 16, 2019, Robert was brought in for questioning at the Fort Collins police station. Detective Sarah Lynn Bryant led the interrogation. Robert appeared calm, but there was a tense air about him. The detective began by asking Robert about his relationship with Vivien. He admitted that their marriage had been strained due to the rumors about her affairs with students. Robert provided an alibi, stating that he was at home the night of Vivien's murder, working on financial reports for Clean Spin. However, when asked if anyone could confirm his alibi, Robert struggled to provide a solid witness, which raised more suspicions among the detectives. During the interrogation, Robert's demeanor shifted. He became defensive when the detectives pressed him about his whereabouts and his feelings regarding Vivien's alleged affairs. He repeatedly denied having any involvement in her death, but his evasive answers only made the detectives more suspicious. The police also looked into Robert's financial records and phone logs. They found several calls and texts between Robert and Vivien in the days leading up to her death, many of which were heated arguments about the rumors. This added to the detective's theory that Robert's jealousy and obsession could have driven him to commit the crime. Detective Bryant and her team continued to press Robert for more information, hoping to find inconsistencies in his story. They also searched the Severn home for any evidence that might link Robert to the crime. They found a handgun that matched the caliber of the bullets used in Vivien's murder. This was a significant piece of evidence, but it wasn't enough to make an arrest without further proof linking Robert to the actual shooting. While the police continued to investigate other leads, Robert remained a key suspect. His behavior, the strained marriage, and the discovery of the handgun all pointed toward him. However, the detectives knew they needed more concrete evidence to make an arrest. The investigation was far from over, and the police were determined to find justice for Dr. Vivien Severn. On May 18, 2019, a clear and sunny day in Fort Collins, a significant piece of evidence surfaced. Around 10 a.m., campus security found a flash drive in the parking lot near the English department. It had fallen out of a backpack left behind by one of Dr. Vivien Severn's students. The flash drive was quickly handed over to the police for investigation. Detective Bryant and her team examined the contents of the flash drive and were shocked to find dozens of videos of Dr. Vivien Severn engaging in sexual activities with students, both in her office and at her home. These videos confirmed the rumors about Vivien's infidelities and added a new layer to the case. The police analyzed the videos for clues about the murder, looking at timestamps, locations, and other details that might help identify who had access to the footage and who could have a motive for murder. The most recent video, recorded just hours before Vivien's death, showed her in a threesome with Tanner and Lainey Taylor, two of Vivien's top students. The police traced the origin of the videos and discovered that they had been made using hidden cameras in Vivien's office, as well as in her bedroom and bathroom at home. The detectives expanded their investigation to include anyone who might have had access to Vivien's office and home. As they delved deeper into the mystery surrounding Dr. Vivien Severn's murder, it became clear that the case was more complex than initially anticipated. The discovery of the videos on the flash drive had introduced a new layer of complexity, suggesting that multiple individuals could have had motives for the crime. Detective Sarah Len Bryant and her team began to scrutinize Vivien's close relationships and professional connections. They interviewed her colleagues, students, and anyone who had frequent access to her private spaces. It was crucial to establish a timeline and understand the dynamics of her interactions with others. One of the first steps was to revisit the backgrounds of Tanner and Lainey Taylor. The twins, who were 19 years old and among Vivien's most promising students, had been under significant scrutiny due to their involvement in the videos. Despite their nervous but cooperative demeanor during questioning, the police needed more to solidify their involvement or clear their names. Investigators followed up on Tanner and Lainey's alibis. Tanner had claimed to be studying at the library, while Lainey said she was at a friend's house. The police checked surveillance footage from the library and spoke to Tanner's friends to verify his whereabouts. Similarly, they contacted Lainey's friend to confirm her alibi. Both alibis proved difficult to corroborate, adding further suspicion. However, the lack of concrete evidence linking them directly to the murder weapon or the crime scene meant that Tanner and Lainey remained persons of interest, but not yet prime suspects. Simultaneously, detectives focused on Dr. Jonathan Brooks, a colleague of Vivien's with whom she had a noted professional rivalry. Dr. Brooks, a 50-year-old professor specializing in ancient Phoenician history, was known for his strict demeanor and high academic standards. Rumors of a romantic entanglement between him and Vivien, though unconfirmed, added another potential motive for the murder. Dr. Brooks was interrogated on May 20, 2019. During questioning, he maintained his calm demeanor but seemed slightly irritated by the situation. He admitted to a competitive relationship with Vivien but denied any romantic involvement. Dr. Brooks explained that their rivalry stemmed from academic competition rather than personal issues. He was asked about his whereabouts on the night of Vivien's murder and provided an alibi involving grading papers at home. However, the police found his alibi difficult to verify. Adding to the complexity, Dr. Brooks revealed a bizarre competition between himself and Vivien, where they allegedly competed to see who could engage in more student relationships. While this information did not directly connect him to the crime, it suggested possible animosity. Despite thorough searches of his office and home, including checking for any direct evidence or weapons, nothing concrete linked him to the murder. The investigation team continued to explore all possible angles. Detective Bryant's team analyzed the digital data from the flash drive, focusing on metadata and potential links to other suspects. The forensic analysis of the videos, fingerprints, and other physical evidence was painstaking but necessary to piece together the full story. On May 22, 2019, a significant breakthrough came with the discovery of new evidence that pointed directly to Robert Severn, Vivien's husband. An in-depth analysis of the flash drive revealed that Robert had accessed the videos an hour and a half before Vivien's murder. This timestamp was crucial as it placed him at the scene of the crime shortly before the murder occurred. The evidence painted a grim picture of Robert's emotional state and his potential motivations. Detective Bryant and her team reconstructed the timeline of events leading up to the murder. Robert's obsession with Vivien's infidelities had evidently reached a boiling point. He had discovered the extent of her sexual relationships with her students, leading to feelings of humiliation and betrayal. On the night of May 15, Robert had likely gone to Vivien's office to confront her. The confrontation turned violent, resulting in him shooting her twice with the handgun he had taken from their home. The police gathered enough evidence to arrest Robert Severn. On the morning of May 23, 2019, they arrived at his home. Robert, appearing anxious but resigned, did not resist arrest. His arrest sent shockwaves through the community. The realization that Vivien's husband was the perpetrator was devastating for many who had suspected him but found it hard to accept. During the subsequent interrogation, Robert confessed to the murder. He detailed how Vivien's betrayals had driven him to a breaking point. His confession was comprehensive, leaving no doubt about his guilt. He admitted that the humiliation of learning about Vivien's multiple affairs with students had overwhelmed him, leading to the crime. The arrest and confession brought a mix of relief and pain to Vivien's family and the community. While there was relief in knowing that the perpetrator had been caught, the anguish of losing Vivien and the betrayal by someone so close to her remained raw. The community of Fort Collins, while grappling with the painful truth, rallied to support Vivien's family and honor her memory. As Robert awaited trial, the legal process began to unfold. The trial, delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic, finally commenced in January 2022 at the Larimer County Courthouse in Fort Collins. The courtroom was filled with media, family members, and locals eager to follow the proceedings. District Attorney Tabitha Quasimodo, known for her meticulous and determined approach, led the prosecution. Quasimodo presented a compelling case against Robert, detailing his motive, opportunity, and the digital evidence linking him to Vivien's murder. The prosecution highlighted Robert's jealousy and obsession with Vivien's infidelities as key factors driving him to commit the crime. Witnesses included detectives who had worked on the case and experts who explained the significance of the flash drive's metadata. On the defense side, Robert's attorney, Lisa Martin, a sharp and experienced lawyer, argued that Robert had been under immense emotional stress and had not acted with premeditation. She sought to cast doubt on the reliability of the digital evidence and suggested that someone else might have had a motive and opportunity to commit the murder. The trial was intense, with both sides presenting their arguments and evidence. Ultimately, the case against Robert Severn was strong, with his confession and the substantial digital evidence forming a compelling narrative of guilt. The court's focus was on determining the extent of Robert's culpability and delivering justice for Dr. Vivien Severn. As the trial progressed, the impact of the case on the community and Vivien's family remained palpable. The pain of her loss and the shock of the betrayal were deeply felt. The community's support for Vivien's family was unwavering, and her legacy as a dedicated professor and beloved member of Fort Collins continued to be honored. The trial concluded with Robert Severn being found guilty of the murder of his wife, Dr. Vivien Severn. The verdict brought a sense of closure to the case, but the scars left by the tragedy would take time to heal. The community, still reeling from the events, began the process of moving forward, cherishing the memory of Vivien and reflecting on the profound impact she had on those around her. The story of Dr. Vivien Severn's tragic end serves as a poignant reminder of how jealousy and obsession can lead to devastating consequences. Her life, marked by dedication and passion, was overshadowed by a dark turn of events, ultimately leading to a tragic and senseless loss. As the community of Fort Collins continued to heal, they held onto the memory of Vivien, celebrating her contributions and the positive impact she had on so many lives.